Let's know about Gitanjali by Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore was born in Calcutta on 7th May 1861. He is one of the greatest lyric poets of the world. Gitanjali is his outstanding creation. It was first published in English in 1912 to 1913. It is a rhythmic prose. It has been translated into a number of languages of the world. B Yeats has spoken of it in glowing terms. It has been a constant source of peace and consolation to countless people ever since it was first published. Its magic has been enduring and worldwide. The Gitanjali is mainly devotional poetry in the great Indian tradition. It has the unique Indian flavor. The theme is mystical and the thought profound and deep. It is a great work of art. Humanism is the basis of the mysticism and spiritual realism, as well as his cosmopolitanism. Its 100-odd lyrics explore, first, the relation of God and the human soul, second, of God and nature, third, of nature and the human soul, and fourth, of the individual soul and humanity. These four themes are not kept strictly separated. The central theme of the Gitanjali is devotional. The human body is the temple of the soul. The human soul is the temple of God. The human soul has no significance unless it is fulfilled by the Supreme. The human soul is not only God's temple, it is also Krishna's flute. The phenomenal world in which the individual plays his obscure part is really the drama of the Supreme. Along with the relationship of the individual soul and God, the relationship of the individual soul with other men is also explored. Tagore's humanism is voiced forcefully in a number of lyrics. God is not to be found in the temple. He exists everywhere. According to Tagore, death is not an object of fear. Rather, he welcomes it joyfully. Death may be terrible to look at, but it leads the human soul to its meeting with the eternal or unending. Death is not the end or termination of life. It is the regeneration of life. Death is the servant of the divine. Death is the last fulfillment of life. Death is a release from the bondage of the body. Death is not a negation of life, but it is the gateway through which life constantly renews itself. God's presence is all pervasive. He is immanent through the universe. He pervades man's body, mind, heart, and action. Therefore, it is the duty of a man to keep him pure and free of all evil, so that his body, mind, and heart may be the temple of God in the real sense of the word. The poet addresses God as the life of his life. God is his maker, the source of his life and soul. He will try to keep his body pure so that it may be worthy of his touch for it. God is truth, and it is he who lights up the mind of man with the light of truth, wisdom, and knowledge. The poet compares his life and soul to a flower. Like a flower, his life is short, and very soon it will fade away and drop into dust like the petals of a faded flower. God bears the burden of the entire universe, we should put ourselves in the hand of God. He can surely carry the burdens of all lives. Human soul must be purified. The poet advises the priests to give up their method of worship of God in the temple. God is not to be found in this way. Tagore glorifies the life of humble labor and rejects the serious and aesthetic way of life. God Himself is bound to all of us in chain of love. He Himself is not free, as He has voluntarily bounded Himself to the work of creation and to the objects of His created. Men are the children of God. Man's soul is the prisoner of his own ego, of his own vanity and pride. Man collects wealth and seeks worldly power, but instead of using his wealth and power in the service of God, he uses them for his own enjoyment. Spiritual freedom can come only when his wealth is used for the good of others and not for one's own enjoyment. The poet prays to God, his Maker, to remove his spiritual poverty. He prays to Him to make him strong enough to bear easily the joys and sorrows of his life. He prays to God to make him spiritually strong so that he may never flatter the powerful, innocent, and proud. Man is the devotee, and God is the object of his devotion. This is the everlasting relation of man and God. Human life is the cup from which God drinks. Man is the instrument on which God plays sweet melodies, and then listen and delight to His own music. God creates manifold beauties of nature and then takes delight in man's joy in them. God is both finite and infinite. Human soul finds shelter in the soul of God. God is one and individual. But He objectifies Himself in the many forms of nature and in man. According to Tagore, Maya exists between the man and the God. It is like a veil which comes in between the created man and the creator God. It obscures spotless brightness of God from the eyes of men. God is mysterious, finite, like a circle. God and religion are eternal or never-ending, but they are neglected in this materialistic age. Nature and man are the two aspects of the absolute. Meditation on nature leads to realization of God. Nature is the melody of God. It ennobles man. Man is ultimately bound up with nature. Tagore is a spiritual realist. He has humanized spiritualism. He seeks union with God through union with his fellow men. This is the unique feature of his mysticism. The other important point in Gitanjali is Bhakti. It refers to the relationship of the individual soul with other men and God. The poet says that the path of God realization lies through the performance of the ordinary duties of life. A spiritual power or supreme being is a main force in Tagore's philosophy. He has discovered a supreme being in everywhere, but this supreme being mainly exists in humanity. He has given an example regarding it. A woman has several forms. Sometimes she is daughter, sometimes sister, and housewife. But her perfect form is focused to her children as a mother, Child realizes her as a mother, not another forms. Another form is obscure to the child. Similarly, God exists in human soul. Human beings get the scope to meet with God through his ordinary works. Our ordinary task must be purified to know the God. The mission of our task should be for the betterment of all. Our work should be universal. Universal work is the best method of worshipping the God. God pervades all over the universe. Here we see the similarity between Tagore and William Wordsworth. Pantheistic attitudes are found in both poets. The world is the focus of the God. The nature is changing frequently, but the maker of the nature remains unchanged. The God is always making new things. The existence of God is not far from us. He is not to be found in the temple. He exists among us.